All right, welcome back. Yet another episode of Wise Guys. Yeah, the show where we take it to the streets and get your views and put them on the news, but then we take it to the table. This week, we got a new crew. Kara's on assignment down in D.C., covering some trials in person, and Lou has defended some criminals somewhere, so we got another top-notch, great friend of the family. Joe Camarata joins us today, great attorney, great friend of mine. He's been on Wise Guys before on our 9/11 memorial. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back again.
Chris Buskirk joins us on the crew today at the table. He being the fine young son of two of Wise Guys' biggest fans, from what I hear.
100%.
Chris, also the author of America, The Art of the Possible. Was that good?
Close enough.
I mean, I
Close
get so many
enough.
books. I don't really read them. I make believe like I know what I'm talking about, but
At least you admit it.
yeah, I'm saying all these other guys, someone else reads it and gives them 2 lines on it. But Chris, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Lots to talk about. I went out this week to the America First Warehouse, which is this big ode to Trump, where they have all kinds of stuff, and they do these great patriotic events. And lots of conservative folks are out there. And one of the hot topics was, you know, the Republicans, we didn't get the red wave, but we did get the majority control of the House, and after some shucking and jiving, we got a speaker. And now they're talking about this select committee to look into the weaponization and politicization of the government. And the 3-letter agencies basically have no trust for the people, DOJ, FBI, FDA, none of them anyone cares about. Joey, I want to go to you first and ask you, so much has gone on in the country. We got so many other problems. Should we be going down the path of more investigations or getting down to the work of America?
I think we should do a little bit of both. I think that we need to investigate whether or not these agencies were weaponized against the people. And if they were, that's one of the biggest threats to this democracy, and we need to get it under control. So I think this does need to take place, but we need to keep it narrow and get in and get out. And if there is, in fact, an issue that needs to be corrected and justice needs to be, dished out, then so be it.
So, on Wise Guys, we play around with my Italian stereotype. We're in the famous Sparks Steakhouse, where many a mobster has had a meeting or even been killed. But guys like you and I probably try to stay away from dealing with 3-letter agencies. Joe probably goes up against the FBI and ADAs and stuff. But does this really matter in the grand scheme of America, Chris?
It matters in a huge, huge way, I think. I mean, one of the fundamental underpinnings of having a constitutional, self-governing republic is that the government is not using its police power in a way that's like fundamentally abusive. And the further that police power gets away from where the people are, meaning if it's centered in D.C. versus if it's the police department downtown, the more removed it gets. And I think the easier it is for there to be an abuse of power. And so whether there was abuse or not, we don't know for sure, but people got to know, because there is a simmering suspicion, and in some cases way more than suspicion on the part of people, that they can't trust the FBI, that they can't trust the DOJ, because they think that if you are of one political stripe or another, that the party in power can use it against you. And so sunlight being the best disinfectant, people deserve to know what's going on. And that way, again, as you were saying, Joe, like if something went wrong, it should be corrected. If nothing went wrong, then people need to know that so they can have trust in these organizations again.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a clean bill of health, make it look like, all right, maybe we can trust those guys again. Now, before you became a great attorney, you patrolled the streets of New York City with a badge on your chest and a target on your back. Do you feel like what the federal government is doing with their law enforcement agents makes the job of regular cops on the beat even harder?
Well, yeah, I mean, if there is any type of overstepping of bounds, leave it to the locals. Leave it to the NYPD to police the 5 boroughs in the city. Leave it to the LAPD to police Los Angeles. The federal government has enough to worry about other than getting entangled in local policing. And again, that's overstepping the bounds. Let the states and the cities police themselves.
So, I'm with you. I'm more of like a libertarian, and when, anytime the government tries to make its populace do anything by force, that starts to get into like a itchy situation. for me. But at this point, I feel like the Democrats did so much crap with the Intelligence Committee and the Judiciary Committee and bastardized the whole process that it's almost like, yeah, once in a while, the Republicans need to go eye for an eye and say, now we're coming after you.
Yeah, no, this committee is completely fair play. And as I said, like the committee is going to investigate. It would be up to somebody else, like, in particular the DOJ, ironically enough, to do the to do the prosecution if any is warranted, whether it be through an ADA or through a special prosecutor. But again, this is one of the functions that Congress has, oversight of these federal agencies. It's something that I think that Congress has not done a very good job of over the past 20 or 30 or 40 years. They've sort of abdicated that responsibility, and it's time that they take up that oversight role, and if these agencies need reining in, then rein them in. They have the power of the purse strings, and they have like a bully pulpit power where they can do investigation, then expose things to the American people, who can then vote accordingly.
Joe?
We need to do what's in the best interest of this country, whether Democrat or Republican. We need to get to the bottom of this, because if it's today the Democrats are doing it, the Democrats aren't going to want Republicans doing it. Not to say that that's going to happen, but as a country, we need to make sure that this doesn't take place, because again, it's a personal attack on the Constitution and a personal attack on the citizens. So if it's taking place, we need to, as he said, rein it in.
Relate a story to you guys. And Joe was my attorney who kept my tail out of jail during the lockdowns. But I was leading this movement where we were fighting back against the lockdowns. We were fighting back against masks. We were fighting back against forced vaccinations. And I all of a sudden saw more liberal people showing up to our protests with us, because they were like, hey, it's almost what we've been fighting for. The government shouldn't be forcing us to do anything. And I was thinking, wow, this is interesting. There still are classical liberals in the world that they saw the civil libertarian side of things. Does that make sense to you? But I used to say to the agitators in the crowd, you should be with us. Because when the pendulum swings back the other way, it's not going to be us getting persecuted. It's going to be you. So we need to stop this thing in its tracks.